Once.
Yeah, talk to me like that just once.
All right, guys, we are live.
Hello again.
Hello again.
Hey.
This is
Week
4.
Is it 4?
Yep.
4 in our
Yeah, it is
series
4.
of
That's
live webinars coming to you. So tonight we're going to talk about, we've already talked about the pre-approval process.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the different loan programs a bit.
Briefly touched
Little more, we can definitely get into more specifics. You guys have asked us to do that, but the next stage here is actually getting out there and finding a home.
Yeah. Last week was a lot of Q&A. We had a lot of questions coming from the
Responded to you guys.
seminar before.
So really, this is kind of just the next step in the process. You have your pre-approval ready. What do you do next? Do you just go to open houses? How do you find the homes? How do you submit the offer? How do you know what to offer?
Right.
That's always the big question. That's, I think, probably top of the list. So
That's my number one question.
ask to you or that you ask?
I like to ask.
So I mean, the first thing, I guess, we touched on it last week, I believe, but it's really, how do you arrange a showing? Honestly, best way to do that is reach out to your realtor. Talk to your realtor and schedule it. And you can schedule multiple showings in one day if you want. You can do individual showings, days, evenings, weekends, whatever's best for you. It's always a good idea to get out there and start to see homes. I mean, pictures make them look pretty, and I think once you get out there and you start seeing things, you realize that different perspectives, different things, and houses
And pictures
different
are
feel.
deceiving.
Yeah, okay. I was trying to avoid that word.
Yeah, no, I'll just say it.
They're deceiving.
I'll say it.
Even neighborhoods too, though. If you think about it, sometimes it's worth your while just to take a little cruise around the neighborhood.
Sure.
Because the house might be perfect and the inside pictures match, but if the neighborhood isn't what you want, I mean.
Well, yeah, because there could be power lines right behind the house.
Or train that
Sure.
runs
You're not
through at
gonna
5
see
o'clock
that, so,
every
yeah.
day. That
I admit, I have never once put power lines in a photo of a house that I've listed.
That's a fact.
Guaranteed.
That's a
I will
fact.
I will stand on one leg, crooked, to avoid those lines getting in the photo. So
Right.
yeah,
It's true.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't hurt to go, go out there and drive through the neighborhood. Too,
Sure.
I think is a big part of it as well.
Open houses. That's always a big one. Can I just go to open houses? The answer is, sure you can. It's a great way to get a pulse of the market, I think. You're out there, you see how many people are coming into those houses. You definitely get a sense of what's happening in the neighborhood. If you go there and it's 12 o'clock open house, you're there at 11:45 and it looks like a Friday night in a nightclub.
Right.
There's a lot of people that want
of
that
attention.
house, and there's a lot of attention there. So it's a great way to do it. However, it's very easy to fall into that trap that we talked about before. You see all that activity, you're ready to go, so you want to write an offer. So what do? You ask the agent that's there, hey, can I write an offer? The answer is going to be yes. You would never ever hire your spouse's attorney to represent you in a divorce. So why would you want the seller's agent to write your offer for you? They're going to go high. They're going to let you do whatever you want, even if it's a mistake.
I knew you wanted to say
I
that.
wanted to say that line so bad.
Well,
Absolutely.
Do you guys go out? You guys go with your clients to open houses? or
Absolutely.
We
certainly
can't
the showings,
always be
of
at the
course.
open houses, but we
Yeah.
will get them back in after the
Sure.
open house so that they can have kind of like a private showing.
So the advice is to call your agent after you've maybe
Yep.
gone to an open house by yourself.
Or even before.
Let them know that you're going.
Absolutely. Let us know that you're going, because what that can do is that can start a whole snowball effect. You're going to an open house. Okay, hey, John, they're going to this open house. I think it's going to go in this price range. Can you get me a couple pre-approval letters?
Yeah. Or run numbers before, like we've done
Run numbers
in
before.
the past.
I mean,
Yep.
it's a good idea for us to know ahead of time what you're going to see. And also, I mean, again, there's enough activity out there that we need to be ready. I will block out time in case you absolutely love that house and you need to submit an offer. You're going to see a lot of common activity now. I know you're probably hearing about it from people, but no showings till the open house on Sunday. All offers are due in by 5 p.m. on Monday.
Right.
Doesn't give us a lot of time. And if somebody's working with another client or whatever, we want to be there for you. So that really is a great way to know. And then also, to John's credit here, gives you the idea of you can see which loan program is going to be best for you for that property.
Right, and run the numbers, make sure that it's still within your budget and everything, which is pretty critical. And to your point too, with and I just want to glaze over the different loan programs out there, but depending on what you're using, there's specific requirements that the property needs to have in order to qualify for that program type.
Sure.
The first one that comes to mind, is FHA or any kind of government program, whether it be FHA, VA, or USDA. The property needs to meet a certain standard. It needs to make sure that it's up to. I always use the word habitable. And sometimes I have trouble saying it. I did pretty good right there.
Inhabitable.
Safe and habitable.
Peeling I'll live in a house with peeling paint, but it's considered unsafe.
Yeah, no, and that's a big issue with FHA financing. So it's important to communicate with your realtor, communicate with your lender as well at this stage, just even when you're out there and considering making an offer. So
I think the biggest takeaway when it comes to finding the house is the more you communicate with your realtor, the better they can be, the faster they can respond, and the more things can line up. Because again, I can give a personal experience and I'll make it really quick, but I just had a buyer that I took out on Sunday. That same scenario, no showings till Sunday, all offers due in by 5 o'clock, 11 offers.
Yeah, it's a ZIL.
That's how it is.
Absolute
That's how it is.
And it really is. So the more we're ready for you, the better you can be prepared and really get that offer and have a good chance of getting it in front of that seller and hopefully getting it accepted for you. So,
and that's it speaks a lot to the climate out there right now. It's I don't think it's any mystery that there's not a ton of inventory out there. So being in line with your team, which I like to refer to as your realtor and your lender, and making sure everybody's ready to pounce when you do find that home, it is really critical. More so times like right now.
And it'll also open up the door too. For more information that you may not even be thinking about. You might love a house and then, Laurie is always big on saying it might bring up a sister neighborhood that you want to go to or another town.
I do love saying that.
You do. You say that a lot, and
coined that one.
But it's absolutely true. You might school system or whatever is the most T accessibility. There's a lot of factors that could be important to you, and the more you start saying, hey, I'm going to this open house, and we find out the reasons why, we can actually maybe even suggest something you didn't think of. Yeah. So all of that is just part of the process.
And what a realtor will do for you.
I was just going to say that I think the takeaway from that is the value of having a realtor representing you. And listen, we all know certain towns. If you grew up in the Northeast, you might know Mansfield or a particular town that you're very familiar with. Well, a realtor is out there every single day, and they're in multiple towns and helping buyers for years and years. So, what it does is just broaden your range or your understanding of the area. So it certainly
sure does.
The value of having a realtor. That's certainly one of them. Is their experience, and they're out there. They're going.
Plus, we're fun to be around.
Yeah, they're good. Most of them have good personalities.
Yeah. Well, we do.
Yeah, these guys.
These two specifically.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I come up with a funny one. Yeah. But all right. So let's just sort of fast forward a little bit here and say you found the house you want. What's the next step? Yep. How do you submit the offer? Really, you have your pre-approval letter. That's the most important part right there. You have the offer form. The offer form is basically a 1 to 2 page form. It's really just a matter of lining up the dates that are going to work for you, hopefully work for the seller. All those terms are negotiable. So you can start off with, hey, I need to be out of my apartment in 60 days, so you start off with a 60-day close. Seller might ask you to do 45. Again, it's a negotiable term. But those are part of the things you want to think about. It's also why you want to know what loan program you're going in.
Yeah, some take longer than others.
Some take longer.
What avenue you're taking.
It also means the amount of money that you put down. Because again, just no surprise out there. Even the 0% down loan programs require you put down earnest money deposits. So you submit your offer. You're going to submit an earnest money deposit check. That check is going to typically be $1,000. And it's really not going to get cashed unless your offer gets accepted. But you do need to put something in it. Your line, put some skin in the game.
My favorite. Coin.
And really what that does is it's going to show that seller that you're serious.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to put $1,000 in to buy their house, they're certainly not going to take it off the market for you. And again, It's only going to get cashed at the point when that offer gets accepted.
Yeah. And a common question I get as a lender with that is, okay, well, John, you sent me a fees worksheet, and my total that I had to bring to the close was $6,000. Let's just say that $1,000 that you put towards the earnest money is credited towards that dollar amount. So if that number was 6 to begin, and you put $1,000 in, you should expect to bring 5. So it's not like you're just giving that money to the seller. And I think that's a misconception.
It gets applied.
It does. It actually is a common misconception.
It
You're
is.
right
It
about
is.
that. And
I get the question all the time.
It gets applied to your final number.
Sure.
And it goes towards your mortgage and down payment.
Right.
Yeah. Correct. It is your money. It is protected. That's another big thing that we get asked a lot. Is is that money protected? What if I'm not happy with the home inspection? I mean, this is going a little bit into probably next week because we're talking about your offer gets accepted next week. Then what do you do? But just so you know, the offer clearly states in it that you're going to have a home inspection. And if you're not satisfied with the home inspection, you have the right to walk away and get that money back. So it is fully protected at that stage of the game.
I often use the word, having some liquidity. So when I'm talking to my clients, pardon me, for the first time, I'll use the term, make sure you have some funds liquid now. And the reason for that are the costs up front to start the whole offer process, the earnest money, the home inspection that you're going to have afterwards. That's something that you got to account for right out of the gate. So if you're preparing, hopefully you're speaking to a lender, but if you feel as though you're going to do it on your own, one piece of advice I can give you is have some cash ready and available so you can apply it.
And again, if you're getting ready to seriously start looking at a house, any one of us can sit down with you. We can give you these forms so that you can review them at your own pace, bring up questions. We can do a one-on-one buyer consult as well versus this setting where we might have forgotten stuff. So.
And in the meantime, if you want to see them, reach out. We'll email you the forms. You can look at them at home, and not even have to come into this wonderful office.
Because it is a contract you're signing, so you should be aware of what you're signing, have all your questions answered so that when it's time to go, boom, you can get it done faster, get the offer submitted, and be on your way to your home ownership.
Right. And I think something that I skipped over with the earnest money is, I mentioned that it's being applied towards the funds for the transaction. So with that said, guys, make sure that you're using money or from an account that the lender can see it coming from. So for example, don't use cash. Don't get a money order.
No brown paper bags.
How many times have we seen a money order and we find out too late? We're like, no. Make sure
roll pennies.
Yeah, no roll of pennies.
Roll
that doesn't work
either.
either.
I'll tell you what, that brings up a good point because a lot of people nowadays are so used to using their ATM card, nobody has checks.
Very true.
Yes.
Very true. I write about on my left hand. I can count how many checks I write in a year.
Yeah.
It's very
what
true.
you just said about the money order just reminded me because I had somebody that they didn't have any checks. They had a checking account, they just never used it. So you had to go get cash out of an ATM and then go get a money order.
Yeah.
Just avoid that. Get a check. Get
a bank check.
Something.
If you have to, go to the bank and get a certified check, something that you can make a physical copy of, and we can see the money coming out of your account.
I
think that's the key is that we have to source any kind of transaction or funds used towards the transaction. So earnest money is a good one that we run into a lot. I've had.
This is a good session tonight.
You're not allowed to buy the house from the change in the cushions.
No, you can't flip over.
You can't do that. No,
right? And that spills off into obviously deposits and things like that. Things that you should be aware of when you're applying for a mortgage, and we'll cover that at another time. Some do's and don'ts, I guess, if you would.
I want to go back to the offer portion of things and the price. I just want to make sure that this is really hammered home to people. You're going to get a lot of advice. You're going to get a lot of people telling you, family members, and they're all well-meaning. But if Uncle Louie hasn't bought a house in 25 years, and at the time he bought his house, houses were sitting on the market for 6 months, and there were 60 houses that fit every buyer. Those are the days when you walked in and you made an offer for $50,000 less, and you negotiated it back and forth. The current pulse of the market dictates, what's going to happen. Yeah. If you have that only cold bottle of water in the desert, you're commanding your own price.
That's two good ones today.
You're on fire tonight. That was beautiful. Well played. Bravo.
But it's true. It's you can.
We love our analogies here at Key to the Dream.
Hey, I can sit here and I can say if you go to Fenway Park, you pay whatever they're charging on a hot summer day.
Very true.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. So I think the
now we're going
market
to get sued for saying Fenway Park.
There you go.
Trademark.
Market conditions definitely affect.
Absolutely.
And wait, can I do a newsflash?
Absolutely.
We're in a seller's market.
We are in a
We're in a seller's market.
This just in.
In case you didn't know or didn't hear, there's not a lot of inventory out
Okay.
there. So.
Definition of seller's market. 11 offers in one day.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. If you're competing with 11, 20, 60 people for that one property, that's a seller's market.
But how do they figure out? I mean, and obviously this is another place or point where a realtor can be a great resource. How do they know what to offer? Let's say a home is listed for $300,000, and it's in a neighborhood that maybe they didn't grow up in and they're not totally familiar with. How do you guys?
It's kind of tough in this market because everybody's going in over asking.
Absolutely.
So you basically have to set a cap versus, this is, let's negotiate. No, you want to set a cap for your buyer because you will have appraisal problems. So you can say that you're comfortable, and I do this on a weekly basis with my people. Listen, I'm going to give you a range. You choose. After, the list price, it's all up to you. It's your money. So
how far do you want to go?
How far do you want to go? How bad do you want? I'll just give you the range and tell you what we're going to have. There's going to be no appraisal issues if you stay within this range. You go over that, we're going to run into problems.
Right.
And this is where you know what I mean? That's your expertise, is the appraisal issues that you see.
Well, and that's important to understand that the property, when she says it needs to appraise, the value of the property is not only important to you, but it's important to the lender as well. We want to make sure that the property is always at or above what you're paying for the home, that the appraised value is at or above. So, you want to be conscious. If you're paying, far over list price and it doesn't appraise, you're going to have an issue.
So what happens when that happens?
I mean, ultimately, one of two things can happen. Either A, you go to the seller and they're able to reduce the sales price for you, or, if it's something where they're not willing to do so, the buyer, you can put more money in to make the numbers
cash,
work.
right? Because
or
you still can't finance
something in the middle.
Yeah.
But you can't finance the portion that's above the appraisal.
So either you're putting more skin in the game or the seller's reducing their sales price, but we can't lend above the appraised value.
The value is.
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
That's how much it's worth. That's I use the word collateral a lot. The home is the collateral to the bank. So
are you seeing that a lot?
What's that?
Property's not appraising?
No, generally refinances sometimes because oftentimes the appraiser doesn't really know what the target is. But with our purchase in the last year, I haven't had any that underappraised, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it all depends on the circumstance. If it's really aggressive and the price goes way over list, it can certainly happen.
Yeah.
I haven't had any personally.
All right, here comes one for you. It's gonna make Laurie smile. Ooh, here comes another one for you.
Hey folks, I feel another analogy.
Give you guys the idea of what we're talking about in case anyone's confused on the appraisal. Hey John, can I borrow $100 for a pack of gum?
Can you borrow 100? No.
Why not?
Because that's too expensive.
Exactly.
I'm not going to give you that much money for gum.
No one's going to give you the money against something that it's not worth it,
Right.
and that's really what it comes down to. So. That's kind of the best simple way to put it.
He has a million of these folks.
I do have a million of them. You want to work with me, you're stuck with them. So, I mean, that's really, again, the appraisal's a big part of it. I think that's going to come up a little more in the next session.
It is a concern that you should always
going in on the offer.
Absolutely, and that's where truly your realtor is going to. That's the value of your realtor, is to let you know how high you should be going.
And to answer your question, it comes from a comparative market
analysis. I was just
analysis.
going to say, aside from demand and market
you'll
conditions,
hear CMA or comparative market analysis. Yeah. What that really is basically a report that compares the most recent sales to the subject property. So you're looking at a 3-bedroom house with 1.5 baths with 1,500 square
3-bedroom
feet,
ranch, something. It's got to be
style of home, absolutely, like to like. You want to compare an apple to an apple, and really, that's kind of what it comes down to. And you have to put yourself in the seller's shoes for 1 second. If the house next door was an identical house and it sold for $325 and you want to offer $310, they're going to say, "Why would I take $310?"
Right.
And again, condition plays a role in this. Yeah. Maybe the kitchen's isn't up to date.
That is a factor in appraisals too, because if it's not updated, if it's still from 1970.
The biggest part or influence on an appraiser's opinion of value are comparable sales. Condition gets taken into account certainly, but and there'll be adjustments made to the appraised value. But the driver of it is when they're back at their office and they're looking through comparable sales in the area. So that's a good way to determine what is a fair market price.
And you're going to see a lot of these values online on a lot of these popular websites and all of these things.
Zestimate.
Yeah, well,
comes to mind.
Yes, it does. It does. Those aren't accurate. I mean, here's the shock. They're not accurate.
Another newsflash?
I'm telling you.
That's two.
That's true. Yeah. We need the little sound.
We are just jam-packed
Maybe
today.
a little ticker coming across the bottom.
Right?
They're not accurate. I mean, honestly, I don't even know how often those update, to be perfectly blunt.
Or what data they use to come up
What
with
data
Well, I can tell you what the data is they're using. That is a public website. So if there was a divorce and somebody bought out their ex for $1, that
It
goes
can be
into the
influenced.
pot.
Into
$1.
the algorithm.
It sure does.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Sure.
Sure
it
does.
throws it up. That's a
That,
great point.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and another thing that you find on those websites is you'll see the property taxes, and it'll say how much the assessed value is. And I know I get the question a lot. You guys must get it a ton of times.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Why is assessed value typically
How
so
can the
far
assessed
off from
be
the market?
250, but they're asking 310?
Correct.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
maybe we should speak to that a little bit, and why that is always such a drastic difference between the two. If you guys wanted to field, or I can.
Oh, I'm going to throw this one at you.
Don't throw things at me. So the
Gentle.
assessed
No.
value is basically what the town has deemed your property is worth based on the replacement cost. You have to bear in mind that the assessed value runs several years behind because the towns don't go out and reassess properties every single year. They will once a deed gets recorded, and you might see your taxes go up a little, but it's not going to be exactly what you paid for the house. There's a huge difference in that just because they're several years behind.
Mm-hmm.
So you can never rely on the assessed value.
Yeah.
And
I
that,
think-
that rebuild is also based off of rebuilding it to the current
To the-
condition.
exactly.
Not new construction.
Nor
There's a
land
big-
either, because
right.
you're not rebuilding land, so
There's a
it takes
big
into the
difference
value
there.
of the house. So
Yeah.
huge
Yes.
swing on price
Yeah.
there.
Well, I think that the thing to understand is the assessed value is what dictates or determines how much you pay for property taxes.
Absolutely.
So to be
Well,
candid,
it is. So you want low
that
assessed
low.
value.
I mean,
Yeah,
you want a
you
low
want
assessed
that
value.
low.
Absolutely.
I literally just got my excise tax bill in the mail the other day, and my vehicle is way undervaluated by the
Sure.
town. But I'm not calling them up and saying, "Hey, listen, I really think my tax
You
bill
have
should
that
be a little
wrong.
bit
I
more."
wanna pay more.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Can you update this bill?
Right.
So
No,
And the
thank
excess
you.
tax is a great way to think about it because, again,
Yeah.
you know,
It's-
you can have a car
Open
that
up
you
your bill,
know
look
if
at
you were
it.
going to go out and buy it, you'd have to spend $3,000. But you look at the town, and the town says it's worth $800. You know,
Okay.
there's-
Yeah,
you're
I'm
okay with that.
Yeah.
You're going to pay taxes on $800, but you know
Yeah.
it's
So
worth $3,000.
I think the takeaway is that assessed value is not a good dictator
not a
of what the
gauge.
market value of
Yep.
the home is. However, it's an important factor to take into consideration when you're looking at the expense associated with the home. So how much, a 12th of that is how much you're paying in your mortgage payment every month. So it's important information, just not something that should influence how much you're offering on a home.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're definitely jazzed up today
Yeah.
because
Are we
we're,
way over?
we're going way over
We
what our
are way over.
intention
I'm
was.
stuck on 7 minutes for some reason. So.
Well, it's not 7 minutes.
Nope. I can see that.
But I
What's-
just wanted to basically, next week we're going to be talking about, okay, so offers accepted. Congratulations. What do we do now?
Happy hands.
Yeah. What's the next steps after that? When do I do the home inspection? All that stuff. So we'll definitely lead off with that. But I wanted to say thank you to everybody who sent in
Yeah, thank you,
questions.
guys.
Your feedback has made these so much better. And I also wanted to kind of just ask a favor of everybody. If you're finding value in this, share it with
Share it.
friends, share it with family that you know are looking, thinking about looking, selling, whatever the case may be.
Especially selling, since we need so many of those
Absolutely.
houses.
Maybe we can help get more houses on the market if you can get the sellers to, understand that, look, we're out here doing this day in, day out, and, we have buyers waiting for their property. So, again, the whole point of Facebook Live videos is, they're only as good as if you share them.
Right.
So,
Get them out there for us. We
thanks
appreciate
for the
support.
questions. We appreciate it. People are definitely responding. I mean, again, averaging 1,000 views. So we're
Okay.
very fortunate to have all of you guys. So bring your friends, bring your family. We'll make it a party.
Next
And
session Tuesday. Next Tuesday
6:30.
at
Yeah.
6:30. That's
If
the
you need us
7th.
in the interim, the contact info is right on the Facebook page.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye for now.
See you next week, if not sooner.
Yeah. Yeah.